don't believe serves the interests of the United States. I think it's destructive to the United States and to the world, but mostly to the United States. I'm an American. That's what I care about. And that's something he promised he wouldn't do. For 10 years, he argued against a war like this. And then for a variety of reasons, not all of which I understand, he...
guys, and if you don't believe that, man, we could take a quick little 4-minute break to watch this real quick, guys. Check this little clip out. If I still got it.
Hey, President Trump, how are those mass deportations going?
They said, you got to lighten up on this. We have a lot of heart for people. They came in illegally, but they're good people, and they're working now on farms.
I have proposed, and President Trump has concurred, that this surge operation conclude.
Oh. Well, surely no new wars in the Middle East like you've campaigned on for years, right?
Our president will start a war with Iran because he has absolutely no ability to negotiate.
We should have never gone into the Middle East. We should have never gone into the Middle East. Under my leadership, we will turn the page forever on those foolish, stupid days. They said, he will start a war. I'm not going to start a war. I'm going to stop wars. You're not going to have a war with me, and you're not going to have a third world war with me. The United States military began major combat operations.
Embarked on it. And so I can't support that. My views did not change. His did.
Do you generally believe Israel would try to harm you because of your opinion?
Do I believe Israel would try to harm me?
Yes.
I mean, of course, I don't know. I hope not. I don't want to be harmed.
Yeah.
But my main interest is not Israel.
I'm not just asking you. You were implied to that when you spoke about your coming to Israel. Let's see that for a second.
And I said to them, okay, I want to send you the flight information, and I want you to pass that on to the Israeli military just so, you know, they don't mistake us for an Iranian drone or something. I mean, not to be paranoid, but again, this is probably the most violent country in the world, Israel.
So Israel is the most violent state in the world, even more than Iran? Are you serious?
No country has...
My bad, guys. My bad. What I was pretty much saying was, well, due to the history of Israel, yeah, you guys are a bit more violent than Iran. Iran hasn't gotten into a war with, well, it hasn't attacked none of its neighbors. If anything, Iran's neighbors, a neighbor of Iran attacked them. And then we funded that neighbor, aka Saddam, to attack them. And let's be real, Israel has started a war with Lebanon, aka that's what created Hezbollah. And of course, they're in it with Hamas as well in Gaza. And let's just be real. I mean, like, come on now. They are a bit more violent because they've broken multiple ceasefires with Hezbollah, and they're breaking the ceasefire with Hamas. And let's be real, both the times in Iran, both the times that Israel got into it with Iran, they attacked them first. So isn't that kind of crazy how you sitting there like, how dare you say that Israel more violent than Iran? Well, how dare Israel act more violent than Iran? Like, bro, y'all attacked all y'all neighbors. Iran has not attacked one. You guys have dragged yourselves into multiple conflicts. Iran hasn't did that not one time. So yes, you guys are a bit more violent. A bit.
And I say this with sadness, but no country has boasted more about killing its political opponents than Israel, of course, about its assassination programs. The prime minister of Israel gave a golden pager to the president of the United States. I was there. And that golden pager represented...
Hey, appreciate the no audio call. Appreciate that.
The pagers that Hezbollah leaders were killed by. Sure. I mean... So, yes, Israel brags about assassinating people, and of course it does assassinate people. Many countries assassinate people, but Israel makes a public relations campaign out of boasting about killing its opponents. So, by definition.
These people that were killed are the terrorists of Hezbollah that had a plan to eliminate Israel. In fact, when you said you're against the war in Iran, Iran is the creator of the fire ring around Israel through Hamas, and Hezbollah trying to eliminate Israel. So don't you think that Israel has the right?
Tom, you know, the UAE has a terrorist proxy in like Sudan. That's what's causing Sudan's, like all that horrific stuff that's coming out of Sudan. Yeah, that's because of UAE's proxy terrorist group. Oh, and why Yemen is a complete battleground? That's because UAE has a terrorist group in there, and so does Saudi Arabia, and of course, so does Iran. And we supported multiple terrorist groups throughout our history. So proxy wise as well. And we did it recently, bro. We put the head of Al-Qaeda in charge of Syria. Like, doesn't that prove that we were supporting a terrorist group right there? I'm just saying.
Self-defense, which is one of the major pillar of interest of national security in Israel and also in the United States.
Of course, I think Israel has the right of self-defense.
So
I think
you
every
said about the
does.
pager, a golden pager, something that is wrong. Isn't it the fact that when you're fighting your enemy?
And here's the thing, like, look, the pager operation was badass. It was low-key pretty cool. The Mossad was pretty awesome for that. The problem is you gave a golden pager to the president, and it was a bit like distasteful. It's like, yeah, you guys killed people during this operation. Not like we used the pager for a major successful mission. You guys used pagers to kill people, and you took the life of a little girl while doing it. So I wouldn't, if I was Trump, I would be no way I'd accept that gift.
You need to kill them first sometimes.
There may be circumstances where you can justify killing someone preemptively. And just to restate, Israel, like the United States, like Burundi, like France, like every nation, like every person has the right of self-defense. That's an inherent right.
Yeah.
So I've never questioned that. I support it. The question that I think is worth discussing is, what does that mean? Killing innocents is never acceptable. Period. Under any circumstances, by any person or any nation. It's immoral. It's the thing that separates the civilized from the barbarous.
Mm-hmm.
And if you wind up killing people,
like Hamas did,
of course,
October 7th,
right?
In a massacre.
None of this is a defense of Israel's enemies. Of course not. It's a blanket universal principle.
It sounds like,
of course, it's not.
It sounds like you are.
No. It's a universal principle that applies to every.
The pager operation was to pretty much destabilize Hezbollah's leadership, because they put they was able to get these pagers in the hands of top Hezbollah officials and leadership. And yeah, they were able to blow them up simultaneously, taking out, basically the entire Hezbollah leadership. And because they was able to do that, they was able to fly into Syria and pretty much overthrow Assad as well. So it was all one big plan to come at Syria, but they had to take care of Hezbollah and their leadership, because they knew Hezbollah was going to get involved in Syria if they struck without making sure that Hezbollah's leadership was gone and they can't carry out no strikes. And you pretty much hear what I'm saying. Yeah, take out Hezbollah so they can go ahead and dominate in Syria, which they did and successfully did.
Every person and every nation. Now, that is not an attack on Israel. Israel has to, in order to remain considered a civilized nation, abide by the same universal principles everybody else does. If Hamas does something that's bad, it's bad. Mm-hmm. That does not justify Israel doing that same bad thing, or the United States doing that same bad thing, or anybody doing that same bad thing. So the principle remains the same. You can't kill people who did nothing wrong.
It's not just bad. I'm going back to October 7th. This was a massacre, right? That was attack on Israel, about innocent, about women, raping women, kidnapping infants, take them to the tunnels for long months inside Gaza. Do you imagine what the United States would have done to an enemy that would have attacked the United States and do the same in the same magnitude? Do you think that the United States would act differently?
Well, I don't need to imagine, because we had 9/11 where many innocents were killed, and in response, the United States killed some of the perpetrators and also many innocents. And so we've done that. It is never allowable period, for any person to kill an innocent. You can't kill a child. The child did nothing wrong.
Yep.
And civilized people understand that. That's what civilized people are. That's the definition of a civilized country.
I agree with you, but it seems like
right.
But it seems like when you speak about Israel as the most violent state in the world, you forget to mention that it is the most attacked state in the world.
And you know what? That's a good point. And this would be on my rebuttal. I would have to be like, well, here's the problem. You guys funded Hamas over the Palestinian Authority because you wanted to destabilize the Gaza, or the governing of the Palestinians. Like, so you guys put in an extremist group, Hamas, and you funded them. Bibi Netanyahu, yes, is recorded funding Hamas at the tune of $1 billion. What you think they did with that? Well, most of it most likely went to October 7th. I'll tell you that. And then also Hezbollah. They've created Hezbollah through their constant invasion of southern Lebanon. That's why Hezbollah was created. So let's not sit here and pretend like you guys didn't bring this upon yourselves. If you just be peaceful actors in the Middle East, none of this would happen to you guys. But you've constantly tried to take all of the land of the Palestinians, and you're constantly trying to take the Lebanese land as well. So yeah, what do you think they're going to do?
So many enemies, like any other country in the world. So if you don't put this equation together, it seems like we are doing it for fun, or that we lost our morality. This is self-defense.
Well, Israel has definitely lost its morality. There's no question about that, of course. I do think, and I would always say, because it's true, that Israel has many enemies, many of whom have committed atrocities against innocent Israelis. Blowing up people in cafes in Tel Aviv is every bit as immoral as killing any other innocent in any other country at any other time. It's all wrong.
Agreed.
The reason that I have cause to comment on this and to say that it's wrong is that I'm paying for it. There's no reason the United States should be sending any money at all to Israel, and particularly not to its military.
Even if
Israel has neighbors that...
Even if the price will be the annihilation of Israel, this is not your problem.
I don't want... Let me be clear.
This is the morality that you're preaching for.
Huh?
Well, let me tell you what I do think.
Okay.
Which is, I don't want Israel to be destroyed. I don't want any Israeli to be harmed. I personally have always liked Israel. Not that that's relevant, but I have.
Shoot, I ain't never been to Israel or anything, but I don't want nobody to die. I don't want innocent Israelis to die, and I don't want the nation to just be wiped off the map. And I don't even have the same connection Tucker Carlson have. We can all agree that we don't want Israel to be wiped off the map. We don't want all the Israelis to die. But I mean, let's be real, they're not helping themselves in that objective by getting into constant conflicts in the Middle East.
So it's not, I don't want anyone to be hurt in Israel. I just don't understand why the United States has an obligation to pay for any of this, to send the weapons for it, to lend its moral authority to Israel, to lend its diplomatic cover to Israel, to lend its air force and its navy and its military to Israel. I don't understand, where does this obligation come from? And no one will answer that question. And instead they say, well, you're an anti-Semite. Well, I'm not an anti-Semite.
All right.
And that's not an answer. What is the answer? And I've never received one. And I know now, because of this war, that America's relationship with Israel, while it may be based on good intentions, is hurting the United States very badly, very badly. We can't afford it. And our standing in the world has declined, and we're implicated in some of the many crimes Israel has committed. Why?
I have some thoughts about it, but I have a question.
Please tell me.
You accuse Netanyahu of dragging Trump into an unnecessary war with Iran. So let's think about what it actually means. Do you really think that a foreign leader can pull the president of the United States into a war he didn't want? And what does it tell us about Trump? Is he really that weak?
Well, I don't think that could happen. I saw it happen. I was there.
I don't like that argument. Well, what, you're saying that Trump's a weak leader? No, he's just convinced. He just got convinced. You're not weak for being convinced of a bad idea. Like, that's just what we're saying. We're not saying that Trump is a weak ass person for getting dragged by Bibi. Well, the Dems are. The Dems are saying that. But some of us who are a bit more reasonable are just saying, no, it's not that he's weak. It's just that he got convinced of a dumbass idea.
And so that happened. So the question is why? And I just want to be clear, I don't primarily blame the Israeli prime minister, who I think is wrong. I think he's gravely hurt Israel. I think he's leading Israel toward destruction. I think he's a very bad leader and a very unwise leader. However, I also believe that Prime Minister Netanyahu is acting in what he thinks is his nation's best interest. So I give him credit for that and always have. I don't blame him primarily. I blame Donald Trump for folding under the pressure from Benjamin Netanyahu and his many allies in the United States. Donors to Donald Trump, people in the media class here, were effectively working on behalf of the Israeli government, and Donald Trump, whose decision it was, caved under that pressure. But on February 28th, the United States followed Israel into this war. And the Secretary of State of the United States said, we had no choice. They chose the time. The Israeli prime minister decided when this started. Well, that's the definition of control. He had control of this war. And so my question is, why did Donald Trump allow a nation of 9 million people to pull the United States, a nation of 350 million people, into a war that will change its future and that is bad for the United States? And I can't answer that question.
You can't answer.
I don't have an answer.
What you're implying that Donald Trump is so weak that a foreign leader can drag him into a war he doesn't want.
Well, I'm not. First of all, I never.
Whoa. Well, like I mean, you can have that. You can have that position. But I could just say that, he probably was convinced into starting a war he never wanted to get into. There you go. It doesn't have to be about him being weak. It just has to be about him either being gullible or he just gullible. Yeah, that's pretty much the best excuse you can give for him outside of just being dragged along or like dog walked, is that he was just gullible enough to believe what Bibi was telling him.
You hesitated and maybe afraid to say clearly that Donald Trump is weak.
Let me say two things. For one, of course, I'm not afraid, or I wouldn't be doing this interview or talking about this at all.
But maybe you're wrong by not seeing what is very blunt truth, that if the United States would cave in to Iran terror regime that controls now also the Hormuz pathway and the terror ring that it created in the Middle East, maybe it would be even worse for any citizens in the world, not only in Israel, but also in the United States. And this is exactly what Donald Trump said. He said that the United States would have been in danger. So you don't believe Donald Trump?
I don't believe Donald Trump. And I also think as an Israeli, you should pause before using the phrase terror regime, since you live in a country that just murdered thousands of children in Gaza. We should all pull back a little bit on the rhetoric.
If the United States would cave in to Iran,
it's crazy how he had to cut that
terror regime that controls now also the Hormuz pathway and the terror ring that it created in the Middle East, maybe it would be even worse for any citizens in the world, not only in Israel, but also in the United States. And this is exactly what Donald Trump said. He said that the United States would have been in danger. So you don't believe Donald Trump?
I don't believe Donald Trump. And I also think as an Israeli, you should pause before using the phrase terror regime, since you live in a country that just murdered thousands of children in Gaza. We should all pull back a little bit on the rhetoric that. I'm not defending Iran, but I'm just saying
even the fact
terror
that you want
regime,
me
it's a little hard to hear that from an Israeli right now, I have to say.
That you want me to make an equation between democratic government that's acting, maybe not to your taste, but from self-defense, to a terror regime.
Not Tucker's taste, not my taste, and not most of the world's taste. You're not acting really in majority of people's taste, besides the pro-Israel and the people who live there. Actually, people in Israel don't even agree with you. Well, a good amount of people in Israel don't even agree with what Bibi's doing out here.
Iran, that is terrorizing its own citizens, that hanging people, gay people from cranes, with the Islamic extremist Sharia, to a democratic country that's abide by international law of self-defense. It's ridiculous. Do you think that Israel and Iran is on the same equation? Really?
I don't think Israel and Iran are the same.
That's what you're saying.
By many measures,
this is exactly why.
I can totally.
This is why people are saying that you're targeting only Israel, and by that.
Well, of course, I'm not targeting anybody. Okay. I don't have a military. I'm a podcaster, so I don't target people. What I'm saying is true,
Hey, stop being
which is Iran's behavior, the government of Iran's behavior is in some cases disgusting to me and immoral. But the behavior of the Israeli government in Gaza is disgusting and immoral. And of course, Israel's not a democracy in any sense. There are millions of people who live under Israeli control who cannot vote, right? And so if the West Bank, Judea and Samaria and Gaza, or whatever we're calling these places, which Israel has controlled since 1967, have people living in them who have no control over the government that controls their lives, which is true. It's not a democracy. So let's just drop the talking points. I agree with you on self-defense. I don't think killing children is self-defense. It never will be. And no amount of recounting the legitimate atrocities of October 7th will ever get me to accept this behavior from the Israeli government, from the U.S. government, from the Iranian government, or any government.
I mean, true, bro. We can all sit here and say what happened on October 7th was atrocious, terrible, shouldn't have happened. But we also can see, but you got to sit there in the same breath and say, yo, I ain't gonna lie, Israel leveling 70% and killing over 70,000 Palestinians. That is insane retaliation for October 7th. Like, as gruesome as it was, that was even worse.
It's always wrong. And Israel doesn't like to acknowledge the existence of universal principles that apply to everyone equally. That's why they're principles, not preferences. And Israel, again, which I've always liked as a country, is a lot of civilized, decent people living there to this day, has to acknowledge that principles are universal. They apply to everyone, even you, even me. My government, your government, every government. But you,
I mean, he laughed because in the back of his mind, he said, well, not Palestinians. Like, he can't be talking about them.
Won't acknowledge that. It's always like, oh, Iran's bad. Yeah, Iran's bad. But your behavior is bad too.
I want to ask you, we're still on the wars and your criticism of Israel. For example, in Gaza, have you actually labeled Israel as committing genocide? You said that.
Ethnic cleansing. Israel's trying to take the people who.
I mean, you know, a lot of like, what was it? Genocide scholars, a group of genocide scholars came together and said Israel's committing a genocide. The ICC says they have a strong case for Israel committing genocide. And here's the problem, though. You know what? If Israel would have just shut the F up and not talk about how like enthralled they are with killing Palestinians, then, well, not Israel, but the Bibi Netanyahu regime would just shut the hell up about how thrilled they are about killing Palestinians, then we could call this ethnic cleansing at best. But due to the rhetoric of some of the Israeli leadership, you know, Bibi and the rest of them, yeah, just the rhetoric alone with the action can constitute as a genocide.
You said genocide. You said about Israelis,
genocide, killing,
about the people,
killing
the state of the Jews. You said we are committing genocide.
Israel has murdered all these children, thousands of children in Gaza. But the real criminal is me because I describe that as genocide. Okay, it's not genocide. It's killing innocents. It's wrong. You can call it genocide or ethnic cleansing.
So you're not
you
calling
can call
it
it a crime, a sin, an atrocity. I don't really care. What I'm saying is murdering children is wrong. You're more upset by how I describe the murder of children than you are at the murder of children, which says a lot, I think.
You raise anti-Semitism. You constantly talk about Netanyahu's influence, as you said, about powerful people pulling strings behind the scenes, about Israel's grip on American institutions. I want to ask you something directly. Do you understand why millions of Jews and Israelis, and not only they, hear that language as an echo of something very old, like the protocol of the Elder of Zion, like dual loyalty and hidden Jewish power?
I am not echoing anything. I'm not implying anything. I am stating what I know to be true because I saw it and the people involved stated it out loud without shame. The Israeli prime minister pushed the U.S. president, who turned out to be far weaker than I understood, into a war that hurts the United States. That is not an attack on Jews. Israel does not represent all Jews, despite its claims. It does not. That is factually incorrect, and you know it. True. And so that is not an attack on an ethnic group. I am totally opposed to attacking people on the basis of their ethnicity. That's why I'm disgusted by the way that
that's how they do get you to kind of veer away from, you know, judging Israel for its actions as a country, not the people, is they say, oh yeah, you know, you're being anti-Semitic. Yeah, you're actually going against Jewish people. What do? You hate them or something? I'm like, no. I hate what the country's doing. Don't mean I hate what Jewish people are doing. Just like I don't like what the Iranian regime does with their authority. Doesn't mean I hate the Iranian people.
Israel treats Arabs like animals or subhumans. I oppose that. That is immoral. I oppose attacks on Jews as Jews. That is disgusting. It is immoral. These are universal principles from which I have never wavered and never will, because I believe them, because I'm a Christian. I wish Israel the best of luck. I don't think the United States owes Israel anything. I don't think the United States should give Israel anything. I think we should stop all aid to Israel, all special deals for Israel tomorrow.
Mr. Carlson, are you running for office? Do you consider running for office?
I am not running for office. I have no plans to run for office. I'm starting to believe that the Republican Party does not serve the United States. And I certainly believe the Democratic Party does not serve the United States. And so I hope we have an option. I would like a democracy in the United States, like I'd like one in Israel. Israel's not a democracy. The United States apparently is not a democracy either. Our government keeps doing things that people don't want. So that's not democracy. It's the opposite of democracy. And I want democracy very, very much.
Oh, guys, you got any questions, comments, jokes, or disagreements? I'll be happy to read it out loud and engage with it. Just $2 up in the super chat, or you can send a Venmo to the Venmo code below. All right, then. But all right, now let's go ahead and keep it going.
Much.
I want democracy too. So here's at least one point that we totally agree. Mr. Carlson, thank you very much for this interview. Thank you very much.
All right. And that was Tucker Carlson on Israeli media. Shout out to Tucker Carlson for showing up.
This is Iran issues a the news. The U.S.-Iran standoff putting the Mideast on edge. The Israeli military remains on high alert. This is Iran issues a new threat to the United States, saying that renewed fighting would trigger a wider war extending beyond the Middle East.
So, Danny,